All right, welcome everyone. We're Semblance of Sanity. I'm Caleb.
I'm Jacob.
And we're here for
Fruits Basket, Season 1, Episode 23.
All right,
the last episode. Oh, so sweet.
We got some backstory. We got a really sweet, wholesome kind of look into not just Hanajima's whole story, but also a little bit with regards to why her brother is the way he is as well. But yeah. Powers of this nature being used as not just a way to explore backstory and a very X-Men style, but also definitely setting up a world building kind of thing for where powers can go maybe a little bit more crazy in the future.
Just a tad, possibly.
Just a tad, yeah. And we do have a few more episodes in Season 1, so it's not necessarily going to go straight into any kind of big finale kind of stuff here. But we had one more episode to do before like a finale.
Day in the life of Shigure.
Yeah.
Evading his editor and, you know.
Although we've gotten quite a few of those.
We have gotten a few. Actually, now that I think about it, Kyo. We've gotten a lot of, like, because we got a good amount of focus on Yuki, you know, and on Tohru's friends. So I think Kyo could use a bit of extra love.
Okay. Yeah. So y'all, without further ado, let's get into this. All right, everyone. Now be sure to go check out the reaction portion of the video in the description below. Then come back here for the discussion. All right, we got ourselves a little bit of a setup episode here. A really wholesome episode. Tohru got sick. She has been under a bit of stress. She's really trying to do her best to be a reliable person, which she already is.
Oh, yeah.
But she has in of herself a little bit of I cannot fail. I have to do this right.
A demand for perfection, basically.
Yeah, a demand to do everything to the image that she believes her mom sees her as. Right. Which a lot of it is, well, no, I just love you, my daughter, and I don't want you to get lost, basically, along the way. But no, she's already found family. Yes, pun intended. So I think that this is really just an opportunity for the somas that are around her to kind of hold tight and be like, Tohru, we're here for you. Let us help you. And she did.
And this is actually something that once the episode started introducing this, I was like, oh, this might actually really make a lot of sense as a build up to a season 1 finale, because when I think of like finales in Fruits Basket, it basically revolves around in my head of either Akito or Tohru. And Akito feels more like main, like
series finale.
Main series finale type stuff, right? With Tohru, her conflict is, does she understand that, taking care of herself is okay, right? Yeah, her value, and that it's okay to be weak sometimes, right? And we had that on full display here, right? And people, the different characters were trying to basically show her it's all right. Oh, you failed one test. That's no big deal, right?
I failed all of them.
Right, exactly. That doesn't mean you're going to fail high school. No. 2, even if it was, is that like, you can work with that, right? So I loved this decision for the episode, and then the fact that, of course, then it ends up also focusing on Kyo a bit. Cool.
Right. And having the episode be in a way where Tohru doesn't really get the choice as much to resist the help, really, because it's a physical ailment, meaning she's physically incapable of doing much anyway, means that in some ways she doesn't necessarily learn any grand lesson here.
Sure.
But she gets to experience what it is like to have these people do things for her. Now, Kyo was, I would say, just on point this episode. In general, across the board, this was a Kyo and Tohru kind of focused episode. Yeah. Thus, they had a really sweet, tender moment with him in her room, and he didn't make this about, well, I just want you to get better because it makes me feel better that you're feeling well, which is a somewhat, nice thing to say, which he does say eventually.
At the very end.
At the very end. Yeah. But first, he's like, I can tell basically in those, he says very few words, but he's basically, he can say, I understand that something's got you riled up. Something's got you stressed.
It's not just being sick or the fact that you failed the test. There's a reason why that bothers you.
Which says, I am in tune with you emotionally, and I would like to be even more in tune with you emotionally. If you are willing to be vulnerable and share what you're feeling with me, I will listen. I will be there for you in this moment. there are like two layers to this here that I really, really like. One is that Kyo is one who puts up a lot of times a brash persona to keep people away.
Yep.
But with Tohru specifically, he over and over again lets it down, like lets down the barriers to, well, be in a way connected with her.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's really good. But it's even more special in some ways because it almost feels like he's doing the thing that he would want someone else to do for him, which is he's constantly venting, right?
Yeah.
And it all seems so over the top and almost not even really like it's a genuine thing that he's venting. It's just this is the banter that he has with Yuki. But no, maybe he would really like this as well.
Yeah, that's we got the flaws of Kyo also on full display here with him also pushing past them, and that's I think that's what makes me like him so much as a character.
Sure.
Is because like at the beginning when he's like, he goes into Toru's room, he's trying to check on her and all that stuff. He has, he brings the food, right? But when it comes to like talking about how she's doing, he actually is pretty abrasive, right?
Oh yeah.
And he actually potentially causes, more harm than good at the beginning, right? Because he is not fully willing to be vulnerable himself about how, her state like this, how it makes him feel.
How it makes him feel, right? Which he does in this episode.
Right, which he does, then right after, because he realizes, oh shit, I'm about to make her cry. And then he actually collapses to the ground in what feels like a kind of mirror of Toru's situation whenever someone talks about the fact that she failed a test, right? He failed his test here, right?
Right, yeah.
The only one that he really cares about. And oh yeah, it causes him, bodily crippling pain, right? And then he's like, okay, I'm just gonna listen. What's up?
Yeah. And there's a lot of this you can tell with Kyo that has to come from some burdened place of there's some stuff that is between me and Tohru that is not fully revealed as of yet.
Yeah.
Very much re-emphasized by Kagura being like, hey, Tohru doesn't know yet, right?
Like, as far as the, plot devices that are quite literally, literal devices of, the hat, the bracelet, things like that, they keep stacking up, and specifically around Kyo, it seems like.
For the most part, yeah.
And it's like, okay, what is the deal there? What's going on? Why was it important that the hat fell off the bed before Kyo came in, right? What's the deal with his bracelet and Kagura's bracelet and everything? And what is his whole secret that he hasn't told to Tohru? Why is it narratively important that the master shows up right now? Did he really just go to the master to seek training so that he could beat Yuki in a fight, or was there more to it?
Was there more to it? Yeah. It feels like they're all converging on the idea that at some point when they were younger, there was an incident. There was something that happened.
Probably involving Kyo.
Kyo was responsible enough that he blames himself for it. A lot of people know about it, but Tohru doesn't.
Yeah.
Odds are she had her memory removed, basically.
And there's a chance that also Kyo doesn't fully know what happened.
That's where I think it's actually a little bit complicated.
Right.
Is that Kyo, I actually think, does know a bit about it. And I don't think his memory was necessarily removed.
Yeah.
But there was an interaction with Kagura that was quite different.
Right.
And if we go by the logic of Kagura likes Kyo, because potentially at some point in the past he did like her. We have reason to believe. We have reason to believe because she said you're the one that separated, you're the one that distanced yourself. We have reason to believe that there is a looming Akito negative force that doesn't like people getting into romantic relationships.
Oh shoot. Yeah, I hadn't thought about that.
So there's a possibility that the Kagura situation is different, on a completely different level than the Tohru side of things.
Sure.
And I would say it's most likely different. However, it might be tangentially related by the fact that Kyo's main character flaw seems to be that he doesn't understand his own feelings.
Sure.
So he doesn't have a good grasp on them, control of them. And
Right.
Kagura is that other side of his feelings, which is, she likes me a lot. I don't understand why she likes me so much.
And
That's
it makes
not
me
normal.
uncomfortable.
And it makes me uncomfortable, which is
Yeah.
basically, she is this side of my emotions that is wild, chaotic. It keeps coming after me constantly.
Okay, I like it.
I don't understand it. It makes me uncomfortable. Thus, I resist. Go away.
Sure,
I
right.
don't just accept what you're trying to bring to the table and understand why, because according to Kagura,
Yeah.
it would hurt you. Like, it
Right.
would actually hurt
Yeah.
you to understand truly why this is this way.
Mm-hmm.
And then if Tohru's observations are right, and that Kagura on the meta level has not been showing up in a lot of episodes, and thus a lot of time has passed where Kagura has not been near him, that means Kagura is actually distancing herself
Yep.
from him.
And I gotta say,
She's like, oh, okay.
like Kagura, Kagura was at her best in my mind. Like at my favorite, like this was probably my favorite that I've ever seen.
in the grocery
Kagura.
store, yeah.
Yeah, in the grocery store. From anything that we've seen of her in the show.
Anything, yeah.
And I gotta say,
Absolutely.
I really appreciate the trick of being like, hey, we're going to introduce a character that's absolutely insufferable.
Yeah, absolutely unlikable.
Absolutely unlikable. You do not want them to be around, right?
Yeah, it's kind of like Akito in a weird way.
Right.
Another character that's not evil like Akito, but
right.
but
It's able to be played
Yeah.
for comedy,
Right.
because well, you know, I could get into the
it's
potential
an
reasons for that.
anime trope. Yeah.
Anime trope and gender norms, basically, and you know, all sorts of stuff.
Yeah.
But you know, then remove them from the story, right? And like the
And
idea,
we notice their absence when
Yeah.
they come back, because
Right.
we're like, oh, they were gone for a while.
damn it, right? That we
Yeah.
had so long without them, right? And then it's the no. You think that was just because I had forgotten about Kagura? No. That
There was a reason.
There was a character reason for
Uh-huh.
that, and it's specifically the character reason that is the biggest, most glaring flaw for the character, which is
Right.
why we hate them in the first place, right?
Which
So,
is
like
when they're around, they cause discomfort for another character, and it's like,
they're completely
self-aware.
uncaring of that, right? You know,
Right.
But oh wait, no,
them
maybe
coming
not.
back is actually potentially showing that they do care.
Right, they have limits to which they themselves are comfortable or capable of basically remaining distant.
Yes.
You know, but they do recognize that it is something that causes discomfort.
Right.
And I love that because it's an extra bit of complexity. It's kind of addressing the fact that, yes, her character has a comedic trope that causes things to happen a particular way.
Right.
But that doesn't dominate her character space. Because
Yes.
anytime you have development for a character that is through silence or blank space, basically, not necessarily literally those things, but that kind of stuff, right? The facial expressions, the whatever, right? I love that in storytelling. So the fact that we had that with lack of screen time, that's just cool.
That's kind of clever. Now,
the writing nerd in me is just like,
Yeah,
oh, that's
to be fair, unfortunately, it's a very hard thing to communicate, and thus they kind of had to clunkily have Tohru do the very, I would say, kind of semi-lazy writing thing, which is
I'm going to exposit.
I'm going to exposit my observations of
Yes.
a character that I really can't necessarily say with that much certainty.
right. It's more like,
but I'm
Tohru's-
100% right, because
yeah,
this is to communicate to the audience directly something that
Right, and
we could miss potentially if we
Yeah.
weren't like thinking about that.
And it could totally just be sort of Toru's optimism or whatever. And we just
Yes.
had in this episode a situation where Toru was, again, not good at recognizing limitations and boundaries and things like that. So, you know, in the flip side to that is you're trying to basically communicate to us that Kagura is actually very emotionally in tune and you know,
right.
self-aware and respectful of other people's boundaries, but that's contradictory to everything we've seen of her thus far. But,
yeah,
you know,
it's also a this is a thing that Fruits Basket will always have as a narrative hiccup with regards to when it handles comedy, is that the comedy is usually there to separate the characters flavor-wise and like distinction-wise from their other characters.
Sure,
So
everyone's got a different colored hat.
Exactly, yeah. Kagura has her own style of comedy.
Yep.
And it informs some aspects about her character. But when it's time to get to know the real Kagura, the comedy ends.
Right, and you kind of have to treat that as like a separate entity.
Sure.
Like,
and it works maybe because they're all somas. So, you know, it's like, the somas are all a little broken inside and
that's
have
just
their
her
own
piggish
little
side coming out.
Yeah, exactly.
You know?
Right. So it's fun. It's fun.
Yep.
But yeah, this episode set up potentially that this finale or like the next 2 episodes or so, because I think there's 2 episodes left in season 1, could focus on what happened in the past, not just with Kyo, but with Yuki, with
Kagura.
Tohru. The Kagura stuff as well. They could do one of those because I still think that there's a possibility that the Kagura situation is not tied.
Sure.
Although they are seemingly around like that age, you know.
Yeah, because one of the things that was kind of interesting, and it might have been established in a previous episode, but it's something that always surprised. If it had been, I'm pretty sure it surprised me when it might have
been.
Yeah, and I think it surprised me back then too. But the fact that Kagura is actually a decent amount older than Kyo, and since they're going for the "we were childhood friends" kind of a thing, right? But taking it for the twist of instead of it being a sweet thing where you're happy to see each other, now it's, oh no, she likes me, and please stay away, right? That gives a different dynamic to the relationship with how things started. Not just because she didn't like him back then, in the same way or whatever, right?
Yeah, I think it reinforced the idea that I was thinking that she might be protecting him even now.
Yeah, like that basically it was like with whatever happened, she maybe saw it as something of, oh no, right? Like something bad happened with Kyo or something like that. He's hurting or something like that. He pulls away maybe because he hurt her or someone else or something like that. And that could explain also why she likes him because she's so worried about him, right? Because she cares about him a lot. And so she's trying to basically check up on him and make sure that he's okay and breach that distance that maybe started because of something that was unhealthy. But she doesn't know how to respect the boundaries so that, then it just ends up being something where he dislikes her genuinely rather than, You know what I just realized?
What?
Because your observation of the way that she might be doing this all right now.
Mm-hmm.
Who does our orange boy, actually like?
Tohru.
Yeah. What would happen if?
Oh, yeah.
Who would get hurt the most that she cares about?
Yeah, Kyo. If
he,
Akito found out.
Yeah, if
oh shit.
If she's actually going after him extra, but also keeping her distance enough to maybe try and keep him from getting too invested in Tohru.
Right, and that could totally be seen as something where it's the competitive romance, angle or whatever.
Sure.
Or the no. You don't have as much experience with Akito as say Yuki, right? Mm-hmm. And you're also a very brash, open person. It would not take a lot to have Akito find out or something like that, and then
or at the very least, she's just creating this nice air of chaos, where it's the Kagura likes
flack and chaff to just
exactly. She likes Kyo, of course. Mm-hmm. Kyo doesn't like her. Oh, it's just same old. Yeah, exactly. That could be it.
What if?
But yeah, I think that's a way that she could be even now protecting him.
Yeah, and I love that as a potential motivation for her, as a point of conflict in the future, because that would hurt like hell.
Yeah.
But it also is something that, in a twisted way, I kind of hope that happens, so that way, because Kyo is absolutely the kind of person that, if it is within his capabilities, would beat the shit out of Akito.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And I want to see that happen.
I think that there's you remember in A Knight's Tale?
Oh, okay.
When they're all looking over.
Oh yeah, you have been weighed, you have been measured, and you have been found wanting.
Right. That could absolutely happen with Akito.
That would be awesome.
But I think the way it works in the more wholesome healing kind of way,
sure,
is basically after the shit has been beat out of him.
Mm-hmm.
It's this thing of where then everyone kind of comes in around him, and it's either hugging, holding, letting him
like either cry it out
after they get like a straight jacket.
Yeah, basically it's the what Azula needed when she finally collapses and breaks down. It's that everyone around her basically comes around and holds her, even though she doesn't deserve it, basically.
Gotcha.
And I really
just make sure that it's not Tohru, because he might do something,
right, exactly.
That,
it's the people like Shigure who have like a very complicated
Shigure is the person like in the Azula like analogy where he would be Zuko. He'd watch like
I mean, yeah, probably. I get that too. But then if it's not Tohru, I think it has to be Soma's just in general. Yeah, but I could see it being just Tohru as well. Like because then like canceling out Dark and all that.
Yeah, like what we get with the next few episodes will be interesting to see.
Be like earth-shattering.
They could be earth-shattering, but it could also be something where then we get the tone set for what kind of finales this show is going to deliver, because there's 3 seasons,
and
right?
And how they transition to season 2. Yeah.
Exactly. And I could definitely see it being something where the first one informs the others, right? And yeah.
Because the original didn't
get this far.
Didn't even get this far.
Yeah.
And I believe that it was like didn't even get this far. Like it definitely had a full season, but it didn't even adapt like the material
right
according to the source material. This way. So
we never got the Uo and Hana backstory.
Okay, yeah. So I would very much love to see the Kyo focus spill out even more with the
answers
master
to the mysteries a little bit, maybe.
Yep. Have the backstory of not just Kyo's stuff with regards to the women in his life, but also specifically with the Soma family and why he's the outcast, not just as the cat, because that's an obvious thing, but more so in the what has Kyo been doing in the last couple years or so, basically.
Yeah, there's it could just be because, well, the story goes that the cat shows up late because the rat tricked him or whatever, or it could be no, in this specific case with this specific cat,
something unique happened.
Something happened, yeah.
So we'll see. But y'all, thank you so much for watching this episode's reaction and discussion. If you want to see the next episode's reaction and discussion right now, though, go check out the link in the description below. For our Patreon, you can get on early access there. You can watch full-length timer reactions there, and all this comes with Discord access. You can chat with us in the community there about this show, about anime in general, and also be sure to check out our Twitch channel.
We stream every weekday. The info's in the description.
Yes, if any of that interests you, we'll see you there. But until then, we're Semblance of Sanity. I'm Caleb.
I'm Jacob.
And we'll see you all next time.